Hi everyone, this is Jeannie Ellis, also known as Scrapbooking Mama. And today I want to share with you something I just recently learned, and someone requested that I share a little tutorial on it. And what I'm going to do is be transferring vinyl adhesive onto a project. Now, this is just something, it's going to be real simple, real short and everything, but I wanted to share it with all my viewers, my subbies, and in case you've never done it, and you can learn as I did. So let's get started. The first thing that you saw in my video is a picture of the supplies that you will need. And the next thing that you're going to need is to transfer or to print out and cut your project. Now I am going to go do that, and I'm using my Silhouette Cameo 3 to cut out my vinyl adhesive, and I'll be right back to show you what I've done. Okay, I have cut it out onto my mat, my Silhouette 3 mat, and I have already taken off the backing that goes around the lettering. And the first thing I want to let you know is what I did to make sure the cut would be good is that I did a little test. All you do is load it into your machine and click test, and it'll tell you whether or not the cut's going to be right. Just make sure that you have your settings correct also. My settings, and I'll try to put up a little video of that if I'm able to get it going there. But anyway, my setting for this one, because it's a matte finish to it, is a black vinyl matte. So I went ahead and put my setting to vinyl matte. And then this one, I changed over to a vinyl glossy. So you can see that it is pretty shiny. Okay, now my next step is to peel off the background from around the lettering, which you can't really see here. But what it will do is reveal your words. Now, my first one is with a black vinyl, and this one is a teal glossy. And if you're just starting out, I recommend that you start using matte, the vinyl matte. It's no shine to it or anything, and because it's a lot easier to work with when you're first beginning, in my opinion. I mean, for me it was anyway. And so anyway, you want to be careful when you pull it out. I'm going to start taking off this inside here because it was already coming loose anyway. Now, sometimes when you're working with something new, you have to experiment and see what works best for you. Now, I'm going to use my weeding tool. It's just a little curved piece, and I use it as a weeding tool. They do have actual name brands for to do those. Let me see if I can find the little start here. What I do is try to find where the adhesive or the blue, whatever color it is on there. Sometimes my thumb it works better, sometimes not. So okay, so I'm just going to kind of open the corner up a little bit there, and I am going to try to lay it down as flat as possible because this was on a roll, so it doesn't want to stay down well. They do have sheets too, I'm sure, but mine's a roll. Okay, now just take your adhesive, your backing, and pull gently and slowly. And you don't want to lift up. You want to stay as close as possible. And I'm just going to kind of roll this a little bit here. And that way I have something to work with. And there we go. We have the backing off. Now I've got to take my little tool and weed out those background like I did here. That one already started, so that's why I already had it. I pulled it out. But you need to pull out, take your little tool, and you're going to weed out the pieces that you don't need. So I'm just going to see where there's a spot where I can do this. Let's see if I can do it this way first. Yeah, there we go. That was a lot easier. than using the tool at that point for me. Now I am going to kind of cut this out a little bit more because I really don't want to waste any transfer paper either, although you're going to have a little waste to it. Some people may not, but for me, yeah, I do. I'm going to cut this out, or trim it around, throw all my papers away that I don't need. Take this off, and I found out transfer paper is very important. Now, I've heard some say you can use contact paper, like getting it at Dollar Tree or someplace like that. I've not tried that. You're welcome to try if you want to, but for me, I thought I better not yet until I'm more experienced. So I found a frame at Dollar Tree, and it's silver with a little black into it. I may change the color on that later, but for now, that's what I want. Now, with this being glass, I'm going to take my alcohol, and this is 91%, and I'm going to take a cotton swab, and I am going to clean off my glass because I don't want anything on that glass that I don't need. Okay, I separated my words but and first and pray, because pray anyway was a different color. But and I've already put on the word first on my glass piece, but I want to show you what how I did this. First, I take my transfer sheet, which is a clear plastic on top, adhesive plastic on top of the backing. So I'm going to try to get this clear plastic piece off from the top. Sometimes using my thumb is easier than using the weeding tool, and sometimes it's the other way around. So right now I'm going to try to use my thumb and see if I can get it. I'm trying to find a good spot for it. And I do recommend, don't try to do whole sentences or, all at one time. Do cut them apart and measure and set out where you want it and everything before you do anything else. Because if you're going to try to do a whole word, a whole sentence, probably won't work well. Not for me anyway. It might you. Okay, now I'm going to take this, and I know it's got lines in it and everything, but the lines don't always help me if the paper's curved. But I'm going to let it stick to it, and as you saw, it just kind of slapped itself right on it. And I'm going to take my scraper here, and because this is a glossy, it's not going to stick there. And I'm going to burnish, and you want to burnish it well, because this transfer sheet is how you're going to get your word or letters or whatever it is you're putting on there. That's how you're going to get it onto your glass piece, your wood piece, whatever it is that you're doing. So I'm going to make sure I burnish it really well. And I am, like I said before, if I didn't already, I am a novice at this. I'm learning just like anybody else with it. But it's just a fun thing to do, and I thought I'd just show my subbies what I've done. Now, let me move my sleeve here. I'm going to take a corner, and the letters should transfer onto this clear sheet. As you can see, they are. That's a good thing, because that's what I'm going to use to put it on to my project. Now I'm going to move this out of the way, and you can see that I've already got one word on here, and since this is a glass piece, I masked it down basically where I want my to kind of square it off. I use my lines on my mat to kind of square it off, and also for safety reasons, because that could cut you. So that's what I decided to do on that, because I didn't want to get cut. I get too often where I cut myself anyway. I'm very ungraceful. So I'm going to take this and kind of line it up as much as possible with my grid on my paper. Lay it down, and as you can see, I've got the word but on there now with the transfer sheet. Again, I'm going to take this tool and I'm going to burnish. My table needs to be sturdied, so you're going to see it wobbly. I'm going to try not to wobble though as much as possible. My husband's had major back surgery and blood clots and heart failure and things like that, so he's not been able to come on here and fix my table. So his health is first and foremost. Okay, now I'm going to take this adhesive, the transfer sheet, and I'm going to see if it's ready to pull off, if I've burnished enough. So I'm going to pull down close to the letters and the word. Again, I recommend just doing word at a time. Don't try to do whole sentences or something, you know, because you're going to make an awful mistake. It's going to be hard until you really get to know how to do it. And I'm not at that point yet. Somebody else may be, but I sure am not. But it's so much easier to do like a word at a time than it is to do a whole sentence. Now I have the word but and first. Now there is a lot of spacing in there, and I might be able to do something with that. And I'm thinking maybe a little logo or something, or a little cross or something in there. Just something. If I do, I'll show it at the end. Now I've got the word pray. Where do I want it? And I'm going to, let's see, the glass is here. Okay, so now I need to get, again, get the transfer sheet on it. And I am going to cut this piece off up here. Again, the black mat was by Oracle. And the word pray is vinyl from Cricut. So make sure I got that right. Okay, that'll work. Okay, so again, I'm going to take off my sheet, my transfer sheet, and I'll be back. Now let's see if this is enough or not. Yeah. So it's transferring onto my sheet now. Now, the fun part, putting the finishing on it. I need to make sure that it looks like the letters P and Y are almost the same height, but I don't think they're quite, because the P looks bigger. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it, because it's not a real straight wording anyway. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it and see how it does. Let me go over to the left. You know, using the grid here is really, really helpful, but these letters are not even anyway, so that kind of helps because I don't have to worry so much about it. So now I've got it down there. Again, burnish time. Okay, I have it on there. Yay! Now my next step, as you can see, I have to tell you, the vinyl glossy seemed to work better as far as, you know, adhering it onto the transfer sheet and pulling it onto the glass than it did for the vinyl mat. But the mat overall for me was a lot easier to work with overall, you know. So now I'm going to take this off and I'll show you the finished project in the frame that I have. So stay tuned. Be sure to watch to the end. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.